Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to this session, this afternoon session, which is part of the thematic sessions related to the Cluster 6. So this is a session that is focused on clean environment and zero pollution destination. So first of all, let me also to introduce myself. I'm Panos Balabanis. I'm the Deputy Head of the Sector Water in the Unit Circular Economy and Bio-Based Systems. And I have also the pleasure to chair this session with Joachim De Eugenio. Joachim, the floor is yours.
Hi, Panos. Hi, everybody. I'm Joachim De Eugenio from DG Environment of the European Commission. And there I have the pleasure to work on the Zero Pollution Action Plan as part of the Directorate dealing with air, water, marine and industrial emissions policy. So plenty of things that we will talk about today. Good to be here.
Thank you very much, Joachim. So as I said, if we can also go to the next slide. This is the session which is related to the clean environment and zero pollution. So we will give an overview. We'll start with an overview of this destination. And then we will have also dedicated presentations of the various topics which are foreseen for 2021 in this destination. And then we will go these topic presentations in 4 batches. So we will first start with the presentations with the batches, the actions which are related to the halting the emission of pollutants to soil and waters, and also protecting drinking water and managing urban water pollution. Then we will go with the actions related to the pollution of seas and oceans, and then we will continue a part of the actions which are related to environmental performance and sustainability of process and products. Then we will have a break, and then we will continue with the remaining actions related to environmental performance and sustainability of process and products. Next slide, please. This is a very important information, particularly also for the question and answer session. So after each batch, after a certain number of presentations, we will open the floor for questions. So you will be invited. So please, we have to use the Slido application. So in this time, you have to go to www.sli.do, and then you have to insert the hashtag CLS6InfoDay also to join the event. And then you have select the room of this destination, clean environment, zero pollution. Otherwise, you can also, with your smartphone, to scan also the QR code, and of course, to select the appropriate room. I think this is important when you ask a question to facilitate also to allocate the questions to the right topic. We would like to invite you also to, before your question, to put the number of the topic. So if, for instance, you are interested for a topic zero pollution 01, 02, just put 02 in front of your question. So this will help colleagues also to manage better this session. And of course, we will try to, depending on the time, to answer as much as possible, as many as possible, also questions, if not all. But of course, if there are additional questions, we could also send a specific request to the Research Inquiry Service, and then you will also receive also written replies in this event. And of course, later on, there will be also a frequently asked questions section when you can also have a look. So let's go to the next slide. So just to remind you a bit, the structure of this call. So this call seeks to help prevent the pollution on fresh and marine water, soil, airs, including also for nitrogen and phosphorus emission, as well also address the environmental performance and sustainability of process in the bio-based system. We have 4 headings. So the first one covers mainly diffuse emission of pollutants from land and urban sources, and also there we look to balance also nitrogen and phosphorus cycles. Diffuse emission of pollutants from land and urban sources are a major stress factor for terrestrial ecosystems, and this also threatens also the quality of surface water and aquifers, and affects also soil quality and all water dependent sector. And holistic understanding of the pollution sources, the key vectors and pathways is necessary in order to pursue halting emission efficiently. Addressing specifically also balance nutrient and phosphorus flows well within the safe ecological boundaries is also necessary to restore the ecosystem biodiversity on land and water. Their leaching and runoff for excessive or insufficient input of fertilizers, for instance, in agriculture, negatively affect the soil biodiversity, the pH, the organic matter concentration, and carbon sequestration capacity, and cause also the eutrophication of water bodies. Ammonia and nitrous oxide emissions from many sources affect also air quality and climate. As all environmental media are concerned, the systemic approach also is necessary to limit also the nutrient and phosphorus emission from different sources, for example, through the deployment of alternative fertilizer products, and to bring nitrogen and phosphorus flows back within the safe ecological boundaries. The second heading in this call seeks to manage water pollution in urban areas and to protect drinking water. In fact, protecting drinking water and management water pollution requires innovative and holistic approaches at city catchment level to ensure water quality resilient to the impacts of climate and global change. And also restoring protecting measures should also consider also the current and the future land use, environmental needs, but also economic interests. Of particular interest are here also the emerging pollutants, in particular the PCBs, but also mercury and also the contaminants of the emerging concerns in water bodies, as well as the of expected increase, for instance, of water temperature, notably due to the climate change. And addressing emerging pollutant is also important for drinking water, especially at the level of drinking water treatment and distribution also systems. The third heading addresses also pollution on seas and oceans. In fact, addressing pollution on seas and oceans is a prerequisite for a healthy planet. According to recent assessments of the European Environment Agency, all 4 regional seas in Europe have a large-scale contamination problem. And the European Green Deal highlights that the oceans are being polluted and destroyed. So achieving a clean European seas requires a profound transition, engaging the scientific community, but also policymakers, business, and civil society to reverse the degradation of the oceans. What is important also to mention is that the Horizon Europe candidate mission Ocean, Seas and Waters, if approved and launched, will also be important initiative to contribute also to this goal on zero pollution. The last heading seeks, as I mentioned, more to increase the environmental performance and sustainability of process and products. In fact, increasing this performance and sustainability will help keeping our planet clean and removing also the economic burden for society due to pollutant emissions. Circular bio-based systems shall be developed sustainably and systematically, aiming at mitigating the climate change and its impact, increasing also resource efficiency and circularity, preserving and restoring ecosystems, services, natural resources, air, water, soil quality, and biodiversity. Indicators of sustainability are still needed, tracing environmental and social impact along value chains and trades to enable responsible production and consumption. Finally, also biotechnology and its advanced innovative solutions can deliver towards bioremediation and revitalization strategy for soil, sediments, surface water, and groundwater, also improving the environment stage. I would like now to pass to the next slide about the policy context, and then I would be pleased also to give the floor to Joachim. Joachim, the floor is yours.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. And I think you have already mentioned a lot of topics that are covered by this particular call. But as you know and mentioned, zero pollution is quite a wide-ranging topic. So within the Green Deal, we've just published in May. The Commission has published in May the Zero Pollution Action Plan for air, water, and soil. And there are many aspects which are particularly relevant for this particular call here, for this particular set of areas. They're mentioned here on the slide, in particular the link to the circular economy, to soil, marine policy and water policy that you've already mentioned, but also to the bioeconomy and farm to fork strategy. Overall, I think the whole Green Deal philosophy, what we've also highlighted in the Zero Pollution Action Plan, is that we really need an integrated thinking as well. So what I keep saying is that pollution appears everywhere. You will see in the other calls, whether you go to biodiversity or you go to circular economy or you go to the other clusters. On climate change, on health, there are a lot of different angles that we really think the research agenda can make a huge and is making a huge contribution. So if you're interested in this call particularly, please make sure you reach out also to those who are working in other areas and vice versa. You may be interested in other calls where there are also pollution-related elements. So for me, it is fantastic to see the call today, and it will certainly make all these projects will certainly make a contribution to the overarching integrated philosophy that we're trying to promote on reducing pollution and achieving a zero pollution vision for 2050. And that's a little bit from my side on the policy context. And so I hand back to Panos to give us a little bit in terms of the research strategic plans and impact areas.
Thank you very much, Joachim. Then what is also important also to stress there that this is this call is also addressing one of the main expected impacts of the strategic plan, which is about the sustainable circular management also of resources, and also in particular also to prevent and also remove pollution and keep also our planet also clean. But of course, this is also contributes to the climate also crisis, but also helps also to regenerate also the biodiversity. What is also important to mention that this call is expected also to contribute to the other impact areas which have been identified in the strategic plan. And this is also, as I said, this is beyond also the climate change mitigation and ecosystem biodiversity. It's also about good health and high quality, accessible healthcare. Is also about resilient EU prepared for emerging threats, but it also is about also inclusive growth and new job opportunities. Next slide. There we just would like also to highlight the main expected impacts which have been also identified for this destination area. What is important here is that you have also to demonstrate, to show in a kind of a credible pathway how you intend also to address one or several of these expected impacts which are highlighted here. I will not go more in the detail, but these are already also mentioned in the text in the work program. But what is important again to stress is that there is always, as you have probably seen, a link between let's say the expected outcomes of the particular also topic, and then you will also have more information later in the presentation with those expected impacts which are there, and then again with the political priorities and the major impacts which have been also identified in the strategic plan. And then next slide, and I think this is also the last introductory slide, is just to give you also a flavor about the type of the activities and the budget which is foreseen for the whole destination. As you can see, there are 65 million euros, which are the overall budget for the 2021 topics of this destination. And then we have two topics with 13 million euros for the first heading on halting emission of pollutants to soils and waters. We have only one topic related to the urban water pollution with an overall budget of 10 million. We have also three topics, one topic, excuse me, with 3 million euros in the area addressing the pollution on sea and oceans. And then we have also 6 topics with an overall budget of 39 million euros in the area dealing with environmental performance and sustainability of process and products. And if you can see the different type of actions, there are several 5 research and innovation actions. We have also 5 coordination and support actions, and there is only 1 innovation action. So with that, I would like also to thank you for listening also to this first introduction, and I would like now to pass to the presentation of the different topics. So we will start also with the first batch of, there will be also 4 topics, and then after this presentations, we will open the question and answer session for replying also to address also these questions. And again, as I said, please use the Slido and put always the number of the topic before your question. So let's now start with these 3 topics. So the first topic will be given by Katja Klassing, and so I would like to invite Katja also to present the topic Zero Pollution 0101. Katja, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Katja, and I work at DG RTD as a policy officer in the Unit for Circular Economy and Bio-Based Systems. The topic I am presenting to you today is CSA on nitrogen and phosphorus load and on reduction approach within safe ecological boundaries at regional level. Now, what is the CSA about? As you probably know, nitrogen and phosphorus flows are exceeding planetary and ecological boundaries and cause extensive environmental damages to air, water, and soil. So we therefore need a systemic approach to prevent these damages and to make sure that NP flows remain within safe ecological boundaries. So the aim here is to quantify nitrogen and phosphorus emissions and flows from all possible sources to determine what maximum NP load a regional ecosystem can take and to define a reduction target for this ecosystem. As for the expected outcomes, these should be the following. We would like to achieve a harmonized environmental protection policy and implementation actions that apply a load reduction target for nitrogen and phosphorus at regional or river basin level. Then we'd like to have best practice shared within the EU to prevent pollution from NNP emissions to air, soil, and water, and to enhance our knowledge on the physical science of climate change. Now, what do we expect from you? We would like you to develop a solid methodology to determine safe ecological threshold values of NNP to be applied at regional scale, to analyze scientific knowledge on the contribution of NNP flows to climate change, to develop a methodology or improve an existing one to assess nitrogen and phosphorus emissions from all activities in the region, and a methodology as well to identify the nitrogen and phosphorus load reduction targets for all these regions. And then finally, to model pathways how to reduce NNP emissions and meet the load reduction targets and prevent pollution. And as a last thing, to identify governance models and policy implementation tools, again, at regional level. So for this CSA, we have a budget of 6 million for 3 projects. And we consider it important to share methodologies and findings with projects funded within this topic. That was everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katia, for this presentation. We will now pass to the second presentation to be given also by Marta Iglesias. This is about the topic Zero Pollution 0102. So Marta, the floor is yours.
Hello, it is my pleasure to present to you the topic on optimization of nutrient budget in agriculture. In the next slide, you'll see that the Zero Pollution Action Plan is a key deliverable of the European Green Deal. It sets out a vision for 2050, where pollution is reduced to levels that are no longer harmful to human health and natural ecosystems, and also provide the steps to get there. This plan puts a special emphasis on how to use digital solutions to tackle pollution. The action plan set targets for 2030 to reduce pollution at source in comparison to the current situation. Moreover, the Farm to Fork strategy put forward the ambition for 2030 to reduce nutrient losses in the environment from both organic and mineral fertilizers by 50%, while at the same time it's ensuring no deterioration in soil fertility. Successful proposals under this topic will support to limit and reduce pollution due to the excess of nutrients and nutrient losses, especially nitrogen and phosphorus, in the environment, stemming from the excess use in agriculture. Proposals will contribute to new and enhanced knowledge to the development of integrated nutrient management plan. In particular, project results are expected to contribute to improve nutrient budget and flows by the identification of optimal combination of nutrients in the farming systems. They will provide new approaches and methods to monitor and measure nutrient flows and practices, including the quantification of potential safe, particularly in nitrogen and phosphorus emissions, from the implementation of relevant agricultural practices that enhance soil health and combat eutrophication and water pollution. In the next slide, you will see that sustainable agriculture systems not only deliver nutrition food and other raw materials, they are also key drivers of economic growth in rural areas. Unsustainable agriculture system can cause a variety of adverse environmental effects, such as aggravate the climate change effects, the loss of biodiversity, and air and water pollution due to poor management of nutrients. However, there are substantial knowledge gaps regarding the measurement and understanding of the impact of nutrients flow in different farming practices at various scales, from local to global, and the capacity to model those impacts. Proposals funded under this topic are expected to optimize and harmonize nutrient and water flow models, providing indicators and data for quantification and assessment to prevent or reduce environmental pollution caused by nutrients across sectors for different types of agricultural practices and scales. Proposals will explore and assess safe alternative nutrient sources and pathways to enhance management and recycling of organic waste and explore nutrient recovery opportunities, as well as nutrient mobilization through the microorganisms. As you see in the slide, these proposals will be building up on EU-funded projects under the Horizon 2020 topics, mainly under the topic of closing nutrient cycles. Finally, the proposal should analyze also the climate change effect of certain nutrient flows, including interaction between water, nutrient, and carbon cycles. It is expected that the proposals will develop digital platforms to allow precision nutrient management at farm scale and landscape scale. They will also have to implement the multi-actor approach and ensure an adequate involvement of the farming sector and as relevant bio-based industries in rural areas. With this, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Marta. Thank you for this presentation. We will now go to the last presentation of this first batch, and this is a presentation is related to the topic 0103, which is about diffuse pollution and urban water areas. And then I would like also to invite Avelino Gonzalez to present this topic. Avelino, the floor is yours.
So good afternoon. My name is Avelino Gonzalez. I'm working in DG RTD in the water sector. So my talk today would be about a topic on the zero pollution core, the topic that is called preventing and managing diffuse pollution in urban water runoff. It is about calling for proposals on research and innovation actions. And with that, I will go immediately to the second slide. In here I have like two sections. One is about the policy context and the other one about the expected outcomes. As you know, environmental legislation and water policy is one of the most comprehensive piece of legislation in Europe. It's one of the success stories for the European Union. And everyone knows that protecting water quality and managing water pollution is one of the key issues already embedded in the Green Deal initiative through the zero pollution. Beside that, we know that we have still a number of issues to tackle. We know that there are some challenges, some threats that are still a matter of concern. We have together with this climate and global change and demographic increase and increased consumption and behavior, the aging water infrastructure is one of the key issues also to tackle in the future, as well as this point and diffuse pollution sources that are still a subject to be addressed in the future. Saying that water quality is essential for human well-being and health is well known. It's essential for ecosystem, for biodiversity, for agriculture and food production. And among that, and it was recently recognized in the evaluation of the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, stormwater, urban stormwater and runoff are still a large source of pollution. And that could be aggravated with the changing climate, precipitations, intensity and variability that will have an impact on the concentration of pollutants and also the temperature of the water. Beside that, we have the expected outcome. So here we are contributing to the zero pollution ambition. This is the most critical related impact: biodiversity protection, climate adaptation, and also improving water quality. So the only thing I want to say along these bullets here is that you will see that reflected in the scope of the topic itself. And the most important one, this is the key message here, is that applicants and applications are supposed to contribute to some of them. It will be up to you to decide which one you will address, but there is no, and this is matter related to the size of the project expected here. It is not about addressing all of them. I move quickly to the last slide about the scope. I think that here you have an idea what we expect to get out of this project. So it's about increasing the knowledge on sources, on transport pathways of diffuse pollution that is conveyed by urban runoff and also by stormwater overflows. We want to get out of that and address through the proposals approaches, holistic approaches at the city or catchment level to ensure resilient urban water runoff quality. Out of that, applicants should think about water quality management plan for urban runoff, to select and to identify measures for managing stormwater quality, so both runoff and stormwater, to provide guidance to decision makers and policymakers on measures for controlling stormwater and urban runoff, and also solutions, for implementation. So measures that are ready to be used and to be implemented. So for that, for sure, we have also to think about remediation, so about technologies, about integrated concept and technologies, including digital advance, for sure, for urban drainage systems, and that should combine blue, green, gray solutions but also the centralized approach. So it's relatively open topic in that sense. As I said, as the expected outcome we hope to get some of the expected outcomes addressed. For sure, the scope is also reflecting that, and we don't expect that all proposals will be addressing all the issues that are mentioned in the scope. About the budget, so 2 indications: the overall budget, 10 million, and the size of the project that should go between 2 and 4 million EU contribution. Important, well, the TRL 5, this so technologies, whenever there are technologies, should be validated in relevant environment, and participation of academia, research and innovation organization, utilities, industry, regulators, and irrelevant civil organizations, so should be involved, as well as international cooperation. So with that, I would like to finish, perhaps to say that, well, you detected the scope is about more preventing and protecting, so it's addressing the source, and for sure some remediation issues, but it's mostly about quality. So quantity in the sense of flooding or extreme event are not in the focus of that topic. And with that, I finish. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, also Avelino. I think we have now concluded the first batch of presentations of these 3 topics. And then I will be pleased also to open the floor for questions. It seems that we have already a certain number of questions. So for the time being, seems to be all of them related to the nutrient budget optimization topic in primary production, the 0102. So the first question is, what is specifically meant with agroecological, and how do we integrate it to the proposal as compared to the organic and conventional agriculture? I think this is perhaps Michael, if you could try to address this question. Thank you very much.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So we have a focus on agroecology at the moment. This is a concept where we try to use ecological principles and to include them in the farming practices. So there can be overlaps with conventional farms, there can be overlaps with organic farms. There's no label on it, and it's quite a broad definition. But what is clear is that this has an effect also on the inputs. So usually you reduce the inputs in agroecological practices. And this is also a key aspect for this topic, because we need tailor-made solutions for the different agricultural systems we have. So therefore, there's a reference on agroecology, a reference on conventional farming, as well as mixed farms, but also organic farms. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you very much. I think very useful. The second question is also related to this topic. And the question is, to what extent do we have to map the climate change potential across Europe?
This is not further specified in the topic description, so this will be up to you to decide. But of course, the methodology and the quality of the results will be essential. So we didn't want to be too descriptive, but I think you will know best how to do this.
Thank you very much, Michael. And then I think this is also the question. The last one on this topic is the question is that it seems that the RIA is a RIA low TRL. It is asked to explore the feasibility of using a nutrient management platform. How far do we need to go with this platform?
So this is a research and innovation action with a TRL of 5. This means that it should be validated in a relevant environment. So this is the basic. And in particular, there is this task to develop a platform which allows precision nutrient management at farm scale and landscape level. So this means the potential should be really clear. There should be already some results. Yeah, I think this is what I can say on this.
Thank you, Michael. Very clear. So now I see 2 questions which are related more to the diffuse pollution in urban areas. The first question is about the international consortium. The question is, in an international consortium, are there limits to how many beneficiaries can be from one country? I can also reply to this question. No, there are no, let's say, limitations per se in the international consortium, but in any consortium. But of course, what is important is the consortium should be balanced. I think this is very, very important in general in all proposals. And of course, the participations should be also complementarity. So the different participants, they have also to show this complementarity and also the synergistic also approach. It's not just adding partners, to have the partners per se, but they have also to be fit also in the overall strategy, just justified, be balanced, and be, as I said, also complementarity. Then I think the next question is about also in this topic, our proposal addressing per and polyfluoral substances, PFAS, and or the emerging contaminants, emerging concerns are not welcome to this topic. No, I think this is, as I think Avelino also explained in this topic. I think both, are important elements. So this is clearly also targeted in this call. But what is also mentioned here in the topic is that we had also a dedicated call related to PFAS and also the contaminants of emerging concern in the last Green Deal call of 2020. And so if I recall well, I think in the topic, what is the requirement is also to try, if you address also these issues, you have also to try to ensure that there are also complementarities and there is no let's say, a duplication on this issue. And then I just realized that there is also an additional question on this. So regarding international collaboration, it is expected to have a replication of the project solutions outside EU or gain knowledge from EU outside experts. I think that there is no, let's say, a specific also reply to this. I think this is more left to the consortium, to the proposals. This has to also to be justified. I think both are possible. So this is up to you also to try also to see what is also the best the way also to also integrate also this international collaboration. It seems that there are no other questions in this particular also batch, in the first batch. So if this is not the case, we will continue with the second batch. If at the end we have time and there are some questions, we may also come back to these topics. So let's now pass to the second also batch. Then we will have also 2 topics. I think the first topic is a topic related also to the zero pollution actions in sea oceans. And then I have also the pleasure to invite also Maria Fernandez Gutierrez also to present topic 0104. Maria, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present you the topic on achieving zero pollution seas and oceans. Pollution is one of the main pressures affecting the marine environment. The main source of pollution into marine waters include industrial, agricultural, municipal waste runoff, transport activities, underwater noise, light, atmospheric deposition, etc. According to recent assessment of the European Environmental Agency, all 4 regional seas in Europe have a large-scale pollution problem. This topic is a coordination and support action. In the next slide, I move to the policy context. I should say that the European Framework for Marine Environment Protection is one of the most ambitious in the world. The recently adopted Zero Pollution Action Plan includes ambitious targets for a toxic-free environment. It announces the revision of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive by 2023, considering the need to reduce contaminants, underwater noise, plastic, and other litter. The blue-green transition requires measures at all levels, from legal, social, economic, industrial, environmental, etc. And it also requires the involvement of a wide range of stakeholders like decision makers, citizens, industry, etc. So, what is the expected outcome of this project? Overall, what we want is to support the development and implementation of a policy vision and the transition needed to reach clean European seas. In particular, the projects will result on a better understanding of major obstacles and showcasing best practices on effective marine pollution reduction, prevention, mitigation measures, and monitoring, and also result in a set of guidelines to reach the political vision on achieving clean European seas by 2030. On the scope, this is what should the proposals consider to move towards a blue-green transition. And this includes aspects like encouraging the enforcement of existing or new pollution-related legislation, the incorporation of new circular economy principles, encouraging responsible chemical use, definition and uptake of effective sustainability policies, etc. Also, improve cooperation within and across sectors, regions and countries, and improve also the sharing and integration of information and the development of joint measures. A third very important element is the training of new generation of sustainability scientists which have a holistic vision of marine ecosystems. And an important feature of the project is that social innovation is encouraged when solutions are at the interface between social and technical and requires societal change. The indicative budget per project is 3 million euros and the indicative budget for the topic is 3 million euros. And an important element, an important note is that the project is flagged for social sciences and humanities, meaning that it requires the effective contribution of SSH disciplines and the involvement of SSH experts and institutions. And with this, I conclude my presentation and I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much also, Maria. We will now pass to the second presentation, and this we will start now presenting also topics which are related to the environmental sustainability of processes and products. And then the first topic is actually about the environmental sustainability criteria for biological feedstock production and trade. This is topic 0105 in the zero pollution destination. And then I have also the pleasure to introduce Silvia Maltagliati to present this topic. So Silvia, the floor is yours.
My name is Silvia Maltagliati, and I work in the unit Circular Economy and Bio-Based Systems of the European Commission, DG Research and Innovation. So the core outcome of the topic environmental sustainability criteria for biological resources production and trade in bio-based systems, impacts and trade-offs, is to ensure that certification schemes for international trade of biological resources that are used in industrial bio-based sectors do include the environmental impacts and trade-offs along the whole bio supply chain. This would contribute to the 2030 climate target plan and zero pollution ambition mainly, but in general to the environmental objectives of the European Green Deal, aiming at responsible production and consumption. So basically, projects should evaluate the environmental impacts of biological resources grown or collected for the bio-based industries based on existing methodologies or the development of new ones. Of course, biological resources means not only virgin biomass from land and sea, but also byproducts and side streams and waste from any source. From such assessments, projects should then derive environmental sustainability indicators and criteria, which can be implemented in certification schemes. So that approach resembles what is under development in the Commission taxonomy regulation. And in fact, projects should demonstrate the certification of environmental sustainability, which is instrumental also to sustainable financing. And finally, projects should test the developed methodologies in an operational environment, as this is an innovation action, and which is expected to achieve up to TRL 8 by the end of the project. So we are in the domain of circular bio-based industrial systems, aiming at climate neutrality and environmental protection. And impacts to be considered, in fact, are greenhouse gases emissions, carbon footprint, and any polluting emissions of substances used during the production of those biological resources and their management, but also trade-offs and synergies with other bio-based sectors or nature-based solutions or any other use and ecosystem service provided by the biological resources considered towards finally a sustainable circular bioeconomy.
Thank you very much, Silvia. We have now also concluded also this batch. And then we'll open now the floor for questions. It seems for the time being, there are no yet questions also submitted for these topics. Do I guess that perhaps were the presentations clear, perhaps, or let's see if in the meantime, some participants would like also to take also this opportunity. Again, I can also remind to the people that if you have questions later on, you can always address those questions in the dedicated also platform, and then you may also the research inquiry platform, and then you can also receive some written formats, or eventually also you can contact also your national contact points, who can also give also some advice on that. So if there is no, let's say, still no question, then I would propose then to have now a short break for, let's say, 15 minutes. So let's convene back at 14:35, and then we will continue with the remaining presentation. Thank you. Welcome back to our session. This is a session dealing with the destination, clean environment and zero pollution. After a certain number of presentations of topics and the questions that we have already in the first part, we're now going to have the remaining topics. So we will now start with a presentation of 3 topics which are related to environmental sustainability issues for process and products. So the first topic that we are going to have now is the topic 0106, and this is about environmental performance of industrial process in bio-based systems. And then this is a presentation to be given by Silvia Maltagliati. So Silvia, the floor is yours. Thank you.
My name is Silvia Maltagliati, and I work in the unit Circular Economy and Bio-based Systems of the European Commission, DG Research and Innovation. The topic, increasing the environmental performance of industrial processes in bio-based sectors, construction, woodworking, textiles, pulp and paper, and biochemicals, is designed, as the title says, to improve the environmental performances of industrial processes in such bio-based sectors. Again, in this case, as in the previous topic, projects will contribute to the 2030 climate target plan and the zero pollution ambition, and in general to the sustainable circular bioeconomy. But this specific topic is focused on the industrial processes, so evaluating the environmental impacts of processes occurring in industrial bio-based sectors selected, and developing innovative solutions to improve the environmental performances of such processes. The impacts to be evaluated are the same as the previous topic, more or less, whereas the innovative solutions developed should, for instance, look at reducing the carbon footprint of any emission of pollutants, look at shifting the renewable energy sources, at using non-toxic substances, etc., and overall at enhancing circularity, like resource and energy efficiency, efficient recovery of any waste and residual flows, towards, at the end, the maximum reduction of residual waste at the end of the industrial chain. In this case, being a research and innovation action, demonstration of the best solutions improving environmental performances are welcomed, also just in case they are applicable. The demonstration, anyway, could help to evaluate the effectiveness of the developed solution. And finally, projects under the 2 topics presented so far should be aligned to each other and to other projects with similar scope and outcomes in order to maximize their impacts.
Thank you very much, Silvia. We go now, this is also, the next topic is also going to be presented by you. This is the topic dealing with international and the European Union sustainability certification schemes for bio-based systems. So Silvia, also the floor is yours.
My name is Silvia Maltagliati, and I work in the unit Circular Economy and Bio-based Systems of the European Commission, DG Research and Innovation. Here we have a multiple projects topic on international and EU sustainability certification schemes for bio-based systems. We should deliver exactly on the development and deployment of certification of the sustainability of biological resources and biological materials and products to ensure transparency and harmonization of the international trade. The policy domain is once more the 2030 climate target plan and the zero pollution ambition, to which a more responsible trade in this case may contribute. Activities under this topic should assess scope and requirements of international certification schemes and business-to-business labels, which report the sustainability indicators of biological resources and of bio-based materials and products. It is clear the complementarity of all that with the previous 2 topics. However, in this topic, sustainability covers the social and economic aspects as well as environmental. So projects under this topic should first review existing certification and labels and assess or develop new monitoring system and indicators of the effectiveness and robustness of such certification schemes and labels. And then they should test all that in order to provide a selection of the best certification schemes and labels and business-to-business labels, and B, consolidate the optimal monitoring system and indicators. All these activities should be run in cooperation with international partners and organizations to increase the outreach, indeed, but of course, ensuring sufficient focus on the EU situation. The final action is developing recommendation on how to promote the best practices. So it is worth concluding now with the common features of the three topics I have presented so far. In that, first, the definition of biological resources includes primary resources, of course, but also biowaste and any biological secondary raw materials from rural, urban, industrial source and activities. And second, that the industrial bio-based sectors covered by the scope of all three topics do not include food feed, biofuels, bioenergy, and any cultural or recreation sectors. However, of course, all relevant initiatives in the field of assessment and certification of sustainability arising from EU policies in all the bioeconomy sectors in general should be taken into account.
Thank you very much, Silvia, for this presentation. Let's now pass to the last presentation of this group of topics, and this is about the new genomic techniques and the assessment of benefits and risks for both for environment and health issues. And this is a presentation. This is topic 0108, and then I would like also to invite again Thomas Kalikowski also to make this presentation. Thomas, you have the floor.
Hello, I'm pleased to introduce to you the topic from destination Zero Pollution, number 18, called New Genomic Techniques, Understanding Benefits and Risks, Focused on Bio-Based Innovation. This topic is a research and innovation action. And we can see on the next slide that this topic corresponds to the objectives set in the European Green Deal, the Circular Economy Action Plan, and especially the EU Bioeconomy Strategy. So what is of importance for this topic is to capitalize on major advances in life sciences and biotechnology when it comes to new genomic techniques, and especially gene and genome editing that has taken place in the recent years, when it comes to bio-based sectors and innovation. So we want to support the circular bio-based systems and especially industrial uptake with these new technologies, but to do it, of course, in a safe and sustainable way, to address societal challenges, just to mention climate change mitigation, adaptation, and especially the resource efficiency in the industrial setup. This is connected to the expected outcomes listed in the topic, and these include understanding the benefits and risks of these new genomic techniques in different organisms, but also advancing the potentials via technical and social innovation. And of course, the inclusiveness and transparent communication is also very important here, especially building trust measures should be addressed with the inclusive approaches of all stakeholders. And on the last slide, we can see that the scope covers the application of new genomic techniques for improvement and more resilient feedstocks for bio-based products. Then aligning the activities to the relevant EU legal framework, of course, is important. What is excluded from the scope are medical applications and therapeutical clinical applications, which are not covered here, and addressing the safety, environmental sustainability issues is of course very important. Here the total budget is €5 million for this topic, and one project is expected. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Thomas, for this presentation. Thanks also to both of you, Sylvia and Thomas. So we will now pass to a new round of questions. So the floor is open. I understand we have already some questions, but of course, if you would like also to address more questions, don't hesitate, but always go to the slide and put in front of your questions also the number of the topics. So here we have, I understand, the majority of these questions. These are mainly for the topic 07, which is about the certification schemes. So the first question is about the point F, which I understand is in the scope. Should the selection of value chains be specified in the proposal, or should selection be part of the project task? Sylvia, yes. I think you are with us, so please, if you can.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, panels. Indeed, the question is very clear, and the answer as well. So that the selection should be part of the project task, not included in the proposal. Also, because the criteria for this selection should be clarified and presented and developed during the project.
Thank you, Sylvia. I think the second question is also related to this point. Is for the point F again, should this involve selection of schemes and labels for the case studies, since the assessment can be done for all?
Also, in this case, I would say yes, of course, there will be a selection that the applicant and the consortium will do during the development of the project, selecting those certification schemes and labels that fits best in the scope of the project. And this point F, in fact, comes after a previous point where these criteria, where these schemes and labels are assessed in their effectiveness and robustness. So the applicants will develop a criteria to select them and assess the benefits and all the other aspects of those schemes and labels afterwards under point F.
Thank you, Sylvia. The following question is regarding point B in the description, in the scope, is about the sentence that data collection should be based on existing market databases. So the question is, how strict is this point? Because it's considered that market database alone may not be sufficient.
It's maybe true that market database alone may not be sufficient, although the scope is about collecting data in figures on volumes of biological resources and bio-based materials and products in the global trade flows. And also imports and exports into and out from the EU. So I think that in any case, market database, consolidated market database should be taken into consideration. And then, if not enough to assess these figures on the volumes of the trade of biological resources and bio-based materials, some other consolidated database should be considered, but of course, at least some market databases.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Next question is about also the points F and G. What exactly is meant with modeling externalized environmental and social costs? So this is also entail benefits.
Yes, I would say yes, of course. Indeed, we usually consider the other way around, but of course also the benefits. Of course, yes. So it's not only cost, although here the fact, it is usually considered more a cost than a benefit. And I would say that about the costs, they are easier to be assessed, whereas for the benefits, it is necessary to have a clear, demonstration of the use of those schemes in an operational environment. But definitely can be also a positive cost, a benefit.
Thank you. There are several, I think, very specific questions still coming. Now is about the monitoring scheme and the indicators. The question is the monitoring system and indicators developed are intended to be used by policymakers and or scheme owners after the project? So what are the expected beneficiaries?
Indeed, this is a question also for us to see after the project will deliver all the deliverables and the expected outcomes, because this is the reason why there is also a task dedicated to the engagement and in cooperation with international partners and organizations in general, as said, to increase impact and outreach. But this means that, and also in another task, there is the indication to deploy the engagement and awareness of the bio-based sectors in a broad sense. So it is not already indicated in the scope of the project. But of course, it's something to be developed during the project. The outreach of the outcomes of the projects itself, but with no specific indication so far.
Thank you also, Silvia. Next question is also related to this topic. This is also again about the models. So the question is, what kind of models are expected? And to what extent the use of literature data are also acceptable?
I would say that this is written clearly in the scope, because all the evaluation should be carried out based either on primary data and or on models. And about those models, of course, there is no clear indication of which kind of models, but just the fact that they should come from peer-reviewed literature in the related fields of whatever, economy, social, or environmental sciences. So something with solid and robust references. So coming from the scientific literature in a way that it is shown that they have been tested against, as said, their effectiveness and robustness.
Thank you. Very clear. And the last, I think, question is now for the topic 06, which is about also the environmental performance of industrial processes. And there, the question is that this topic mentioned 5 sectors. Must they be represented by individual representatives, or would it be possible that an industry represents 2 sectors?
Oh, good. Yeah, it is possible. That's exactly what is said in the question. So this is a possible situation. So to be represented by the same industry, company, and facility. Sure.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. I think we have exhausted now the questions for this particular batch. I don't think that we have any additional question. Let's then now pass to the last, batch of 2 presentations. So the first presentation is about is the topic 0109. This is a topic about environmental impacts and trade-offs of alternative fertilizer products. And then I have the pleasure also to invite also Katia Klasink to make this presentation. Katia, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Katia, and I work at DG RTD in the unit for circular economy and bio-based systems. Today, I'm going to present to you a CSA on alternative fertilizing products and their environmental impacts and trade-offs, both at global and at local scale. Now, this topic is about fertilizers from secondary raw materials, such as wastewater, sewage sludge, bio-waste, digestate manure, which could possibly replace nitrogen and phosphorus-based fertilizers. As you know, nitrogen and phosphorus losses can cause quite some damage to the environment, so it is worth analyzing and evaluating their environmental impacts first. And like this, producers and consumers will become aware of the environmental performance of these fertilizers, which should ideally facilitate their uptake by stakeholders and by local administrations. And as an overall goal, keep nitrogen and phosphorus flows within safe ecological boundaries. Now, the outcomes that we're expecting are that alternative fertilizers are produced and applied in accordance with the best environmental performance and practices, and that sustainable local value chains deploy these alternative fertilizers, and that the policies that are made by local administrations support them as well. So for the scope, we will ask you to collect relevant data on different fertilizing products from secondary raw materials, taking into account all phases of their life cycle, to apply methodologies that assess the environmental impacts and trade-offs, to feed relevant data into the European Platform on Life Cycle Assessment, and to analyze technical aspects of the prevention and control operations during all phases of the life cycle of the selected fertilizers and their effectiveness. For this action, we have 4 million, we have a budget of 4 million in total for 2 projects. And at this point, we'd like to remind you that we would like it to include an analysis of past research projects and studies, and to share your findings with projects funded within this topic. All right, that was it already. Thank you.
Thank you, Katia, and for this presentation. And let's now have also the presentation of the last topic of our session today. This is about bioremediation and the environmental services. So this is topic 0110, and then I would like also to invite Thomas Kalikowski to make also this presentation. Thomas, the floor is yours.
Hello, it is my pleasure to introduce to you a topic from Destination Zero Pollution, number 110. And this is a topic entitled Environmental Services, Improved Bioremediation and Revitalization Strategies for Soil, Sediments and Water. So quite a long title, but quite a clear one, we hope. And this is an innovation, this is a research and innovation action. So on the next slide, we can see the policy context and the expected outcomes of this topic. So clearly this topic relates to the zero pollution ambition and the climate pact included in the European Green Deal, but also to other policies, including the bioeconomy strategy and also the circular economy action plan. It is, of course, no secret, unfortunately, that the environmental pollution is a major concern and is also increasing in Europe. It's also affecting the quality of life, especially contamination of soil, sediments, and water, which remain a major ecological problem. So this is what this topic is expected to help with via applying circular bio-based innovation for restoring biodiversity, protecting soil and water quality in Europe. So what the expected outcomes of this topic are is the improved bioremediation and revitalization strategies for contaminated environments, especially the soil, sediment, water, and also new approaches for bioremediation and resource recycling. And of course, with this come also advances in addressing the loss of biodiversity and ecosystem services, so improving the impacts in terms of pollution from with new developed innovations. Also, the microbiome can be exploited here. And on the next slide, we can see the scope of the topic, showing different indicated organisms or avenues that lead to addressing the bioremediation and revitalization strategies, such as identification of optimized proteins, microorganisms, microbiomes, as mentioned, plants, animals, especially the water animals, for sediments, and looking on novel innovations for addressing the remediation in the range of contaminated environments here in the topic. And in terms of budget, 11 million euro is foreseen for this topic, with 2 projects to be funded. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Thomas. With this presentation, I think we have concluded also to the last batch. I would be now like to open also the floor for questions for the last 2 presentations, 09 and 10. I think I see we have already a number of questions which are related to topic 10. So the first question is what is meant by plants that have clearly visible markers for public surveillance? Thomas, would you be please able to address this question?
Yes, indeed. So I'm happy to be back with these questions. So here we are looking on the outcome, or actually this is part of scope, point C, mentioning the identification, characterization of plants that are transformed with pathways and metabolisms, helping with target uptake of targeted contaminants. And then it is clear that when this happens, if we have this situation that there are some modified plants accumulating these contaminants, they are not fit for consumption, obviously, or even contact possibly with humans. So this point addresses this safety option, and it gives an example, which may be one of examples, of course. So this is a quite kind of simple example, I would say, simply by colors, but in fact the situation could be much more advanced or complex, allowing by identification of these sources of accumulation of pollutants via remediation in the environment. So this point really deals with this situation.
Thank you, Thomas. I think also the second question is also related to
exactly. This is exactly the same point, and I think I addressed this question. Maybe just to say that this option, of course, needs to take into account the binding European regulations in terms of development of such such plants and materials. So this is quite clear, and it goes without saying.
Thank you. And then we have also the last, I think, question for the time being in this topic. The question is are there any restrictions or preferences on what contaminants should be targeted in the proposal? Again.
Yes, this is a very good question. We do not define this in the topic, apart from mentioning in the first section of scope some overall comment on the type of pollution that is covered here, which says the pollution contains dangerous and persistent toxic substances that have adverse effects on human health and environment. So this is really, I mean, it needs to have impact, and obviously the substances that cannot be dealt with other ways and other with other approaches, and which remain detrimental to environment and human health should be addressed by this novel approach. So I think this is quite obvious comment, but we leave it open on purpose.
Thank you, Thomas. I think that if I'm not wrong, for the time being, there are no other questions. So I think that we probably go slowly to wrap up and towards closing also this session. Again, as I said, there will be also possibility to the audience, if there are additional activities, they can of course address this in writing in their research and query service, and then we may also reply to that. So also, Joachim, from my point of view, I think that it was quite useful, this session. So we had the possibility to see the different type of funding opportunities within this clean environment and zero pollution and destination. So I think you also may have some interesting information, and I hope that this project will also address also the policy questions and help also to implement also many of our policy also targets. So from my point of view, I would like also to thank all of you, thank in particular also the speakers, thank also the audience for attending also this meeting, which was, a first for in our case, it was a new way with this pre-recording. I think it went very well, and we will, of course, we can have your feedbacks. I would like also to thank all the technical people who were, behind the scene and, really ensure to have this event to take without any technical problem, and then, of course, to help also our colleagues from the executive agency that were, behind, helping also with the questions.
Also from my side, big thanks, Panos. Very, very briefly to say that this was very fascinating in that short time, how many topics we covered. And just to underline one thing that colleagues have said, these are highly policy relevant topics, and the research really can directly feed into the policy development over the next policy cycle under the development of the Green Deal and the zero pollution ambition. So we count on good proposals. We really hope that these projects can start as soon as possible, and hopefully once all the procedures are completed. And we would like to thank also from DG Environment, everybody, DG Research, and Innovation, but also all the colleagues who helped prepare this wonderful session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all, and we wish you also a good afternoon. And many of you are continuing tomorrow in the brokerage event, so all the best and good luck also for the preparation of your proposals. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Dear colleagues, thank you.